Welcome to Fictional Problems, the podcast where we discuss all things writing, in association with Speculative Fiction Ireland. On today's episode, we're diving into one of the most enduring and fascinating relationships in storytelling, that of the hero and villain. We'll be taking a big picture look at what makes heroes and villains work, how their relationship shapes narrative tension, and why neither can truly exist without the other. We'll explore classic and modern archetypes, discuss how those archetypes can evolve or be subverted, and examine why depth of character matters just as much for villains as it does for heroes. From noble champions and reluctant survivors to tragic antagonists and complex moral opposites, we'll unpack how these roles influence plot, theme, and emotional impact, and how writers can craft compelling characters on both sides of the conflict. Join us. And welcome back to Fictional Problems with myself, Gary J. Martin, and
myself, Alan McNevin. Myself, here's.
Yes, and I shall be your hero for this evening, and
I shall be the villain. You'd be the villain in the life you hope to express in the world.
Exactly.
Don't be your own hero, be your own villain.
Because that is what we are discussing. Briefly, I guess we're going to just maybe just graze the topic.
Graze this topic, this vast topic.
Just to do a flyby, a strafing run on heroes and villains, as there is so much to discuss. I mean, as I might have mentioned before, heroes and villains is the whole ball of wax. Yeah,
the relationship between the two. A good hero needs a good villain. Without Hans Gruber, there's no John McClane.
Yeah.
So it's the relationship can mix the form. I mean, it's not required to make the story work, but it is actually a good touchstone to start on.
Yeah. Well, like, you know, if you think of anything, any story you're talking about, the heroes and villains are the ones that are prominent. They're the ones whom the story is about. And from the different perspectives, and it predominantly the hero's perspective.
Yes.
However, it's not always the case. Like as we could see in some TV shows, movies, they go from the villain's perspective at times. So, I mean, I remember when I was younger reading Interview with the Vampire, for example.
Sure.
And that was occurred to me that the hero of the story is the monster.
The protagonist is, sure.
And it was kind of fresh and new when it came out at the time. It was like, this isn't something that has usually been done, where you take the monster's side of things and listen to their story.
Sure. I guess you also have, the thing on the background, has Ford Coppola's Dracula, and you have a positive telling of the Dracula story, despite the fact he is manipulative and all the rest. He is still a sympathetic.
Yeah. So we'll see how far we can get in.
Yeah.
We'll have to try and beat down the door and get through to the other side of the real nitty gritty. Perhaps some other stage we'll
see how this goes.
Kind of take an overarching view of things. Maybe discuss hero archetypes, villain archetypes.
We'll see where it goes.
What makes good ones bad? Yeah.
My perspective would be slightly different, or as per usual, I have my own strident views, and in this regard, I would slightly borrow a line from The Dark Knight, where you die a hero or you live long enough to become a villain.
Yeah.
The time at where the character is at the time of that telling, you could use that as the point at which, because a villain is not a villain the entire time, a hero is not a hero the entire time. Anti-heroes, synthetic villains. This is something we also the way to the idea of something push. You can write arch and you can write simplistic and you can write not bad, but if you have your heroes and if there is a good connection to the villain, if people are going, I hate this person so much, I want to hear more about them.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was Jack Gleason, the actor who played
Joffrey Baratheon.
Yeah. He got a note from George R. R. Martin saying, people hate you, congratulations. it is if you can tap into that.
Well played.
Exactly. But that character was born quite literally of a bad situation.
Yeah.
And he was born into a situation where he would be king someday. As the eldest son, he didn't matter that Baratheon died early or late. He was the heir to the throne.
Mm-hmm.
So that is you could say that he is the product of a number of things, including incest.
Yes.
Oh wait, spoiler. So that villain, it was almost not his fault. Yes, he was a sociopath. So but that's also not his fault. That's brown chemistry. So to build a good villain, or to have you want to have a as almost as sympathetic reaction, or empathic reaction from your audience to your villains as your heroes. Even if you want just to see them come up, and you want to see, because it's often the villains' plots and plans which set the hero in motion. They're the ones who are striding off to defeat the villain.
Yeah, if you're turning the page to see the downfall of that villain, that's a good sign of a good villain.
Yeah, the highlighting and indeed then you have the different stages they're in, as in the lieutenants of that villain, and the other end, they're the
lackeys.
I would say higher than lackeys, and lackeys they're your cannon fodder.
Yeah. Well, perhaps to a particular type of villain, everyone else in the entire world is cannon fodder.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Evil they are.
Evil stroke.
Stupid. Where's the white cat?
Exactly. Yes, we only have a slightly white dog.
Yeah.
So, and I guess it's because heroes and I'll get back to my point. This is what technically went on that the hero tends to be a morally stuck, which means that the side characters have to step up to take on the more fun, daring, edgy. You're never going to quote Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but you're going to quote Xander and Spike and Willow and Cordelia, and Giles. They get these funny lines, and the vast majority of the character film. But I guess to my point is that at any point in a story, at any point in a character's arc, they can be the worst person or the best person. The hero could be, as part of their arc, they are trying to pay a moral or karmic debt. So they wear the bad guy. They're aiming for redemption. So if you rewind the clock and told their story from the start, then it's like, okay, why are we following this villain?
Yeah.
So it is for me, when this features in pretty much most of my work up to this year, I guess, that all the characters I write with an eye of, are they the villain? Like, say, Parliament Crow, my first big epic. They are going around killing people. They're killing cultists.
No one likes that cultist.
No one likes cultists, but it is a very it's a from, and you can't say, well, these people were trying to summon a demon. And it is set in modern times. It is often in Middle America, so you end up with the fact to deal with the sheriff's office or whatever. Is that the PD are not going to go, this person is okay, because I just found them, and there was a burned down building, and we have identified at least 15 dead people and several gunshot wounds, and this person got a gun. So, or the good on the right time. You can't say, "Oh, my hero," but they'll be viewed as the villain, and that's something that I'm.
But faceless cultists, are they not like faceless stormtroopers? I don't think anyone is sitting there going, "Oh, Luke's an awful human being. Look how many stormtroopers he shot."
No, but I would push that as a narrative that from the point of view of the comedy bit from Austin Powers, where after every time Austin Powers kills someone, there's a shot to Bob's going up to the bar later on.
No one ever thinks of the henchmen's wives.
Exactly. They have friends, they have family. They're about a 401k. So like even one of the key characters in spoilers, one of the key characters in Parliament, she commits mass murder.
Okay.
To save the world.
Oh, well.
That's the thing. So is she a villain or is she a hero? If you talk about it's a trolley problem. Of do you have the power to take an action?
Yeah.
To shift from train line 1 to train line 2. train line 1 has got 1 person on it, train line 2 has got 3. Or so well,
Tony Stark would just build a new track that has no one on it.
Exactly, but that is and indeed that is a application of ability.
Yeah,
and to subvert, the Kirashi Maru, the changing the rules of the game, and indeed as an option, that's grand. But Tony Stark, for example, was an arms dealer.
Yeah,
he spent years being an arms dealer. There is to use the Romanoff line. There is red in his ledger.
Yes.
So, the fact that he saved the world, by snapping the fingers and dying because he died the hero. He lived the villain.
That was a redemption arc rather than like a classic hero.
Yes,
starts good, just maintains their morals and their kind of true goodness throughout all the stuff that comes at them bad, things that should break them down, mentally exhaust them, all that stuff. The true hero, the great, the kind of stereotypical, if we're talking mythical hero.
Sure.
Well, we don't go back as far as ancient Greece and Rome, because a hero in those terms and those times meant something different.
Right.
The morals never really entered into it in terms of how good or bad a person. A hero was essentially a child of the gods.
Right.
So that's
a classification.
Yeah. You had to be a descendant of a god to be a hero in ancient Greece and ancient Rome. But the point I was making is like the stalwart hero that is able to fend off all the negative things that are coming at them and the hurt and the tragedy and the loss that they suffer. They're able to power through and ultimately succeed.
Sure.
That's like the classic type hero.
Yeah. How many of them do we have these days?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
modern literature,
or in modern TV, modern cinema. There's not the broken hero. The conflicted hero, the anti-hero. These are all the types, because you don't get to be the chisel jaw one, because because whether it be have discerned to be uninteresting, and I was thinking that could be a challenge in itself.
Have they had their day? That's the square jaw, action hero type who's morally irreproachable. Is that a character that people, when reading, they'd look at that and go, I don't believe, like this character is too simple, or it says like, oh, I've seen it all before. This is a cartoon hero, not necessarily a complex individual with flaws and all of that stuff going on in the background.
I guess it could be linking back to what we said before about the idea of seeing oneself in the narrative. Is this because we can all look at our own lives and say, I wasn't at that point. I think we are. I think we're being honest with ourselves. We know when we've been the villain. We know that when we have said the wrong thing or even thought the wrong thing.
I said before, make good decisions, Keith.
Yes, exactly. But if it's the case that we are if an audience wants to see themselves in a narrative, and that hero is so down the line good that there's thought because you get to see oftentimes the thoughts of the characters directly, that they are profound in their goodness. Would that simply reflect back poorly on the audience member going, hang on, I want to see myself, but this person is clearly far better than me?
Well, a character that just springs to mind with that profound goodness is the character of Superman.
Sure.
So Superman has always, in fact, I think in that one movie where he snapped Zod's neck, there was fan outrage that he crossed the line that no one ever thought Superman would even ever kill somebody.
Sure.
Knowingly, but
that was the trolley problem.
Yeah,
he was killing him
or the family,
that being where we're going towards. Yeah. So
I think the audience were just angry that someone put Superman in that position.
Oh yeah, well, Zack Snyder, absolutely, and Superman does have, and perhaps you could say like the most recent Superman movie was grand. I liked it. I can understand some of the critiques of it. It was a change from the movie. I would say that the power of the character allows him to be so good, or he's given the capacity to be that kind of good person. Like, if you're just a guy in the gun, it's like their distinction with Batman. He is admittedly a guy with a bunch of tech, but he had to do a lot of bad shit in order to get that point. The whole if you just use the movies, just because they're the easiest touchdown, Batman Begins, he was a criminal. Yeah, he was an actual criminal for a long time. And
although he said he only stole from himself.
I know
he only stole Wayne Tech Industries or whatever.
He never said that.
He said he never became. Although he lived among criminals, he never became one.
So. Yeah, that was his assertion.
Yeah,
but I don't think his victims. The only time you did see, you saw Wayne Tech's pockets behind him, but he never limited his actions to just.
Yeah, that'd be difficult.
Yeah, he'd be targeted. So
was that just to show the audience? Oh, look, he's not a criminal.
I think that the threads of Wayne Industries went further. I think it was a double telling that you could show. Okay, you don't know the stuff. It was he could have just went, no, this is mine, and it got away with it. Yeah, because it is technically his stuff, but he didn't want to, or that he was on the different path. And while it was training, I doubt his other victims would have appreciated that. And indeed, perhaps is every time
he commits grievous assault every time he goes out there, doesn't he? Batman, like that's a crime.
Oh yes,
vigilante justice is criminal.
What if you don't do the time, don't do the crime. Yeah. If you what's this thing? The S on Superman means hope. The Batman symbol means you're going to have your kneecaps broken. So so I guess the square-jawed Superman, he gets to be that person.
Yeah.
And I would tend to, by the deconstruction attitude at the moment, or deconstruction flow, doesn't serve that character at all. I imagine in a few years' time, once this era of Superman or the superheroes are over, that Superman will return as a beacon again.
Yeah.
That the people who are trying to undercut him or trying to in the one movie you referenced, the line was truth, justice, and all that stuff. It was trying to kind of move away from him as a representation of America, as him as red, white, and blue.
Yeah,
that's a mythos that's around the character that he represents. Which,
strangely enough, it's the same kind of like. You can see him. So Superman's the DC version of the. We call him the penultimate good hero, as in we'll never take a bad step or a wrong step or a morally questionable step. That is completely reflected in the Marvel universe in Captain America. He's worthy to wield Mjolnir because of his how good and decent a person he's supposed to be inside. He's worthy of the power of Thor. At one time.
No. So that's where I get questioned about Marvel, is that was a joke. So I'm all of the how Avengers or how Endgame ends, they're all jokes. I'm on the left when everyone reappears and they line up for the Avengers Assemble moment.
Yeah.
That was the Sam Wilson joke from the start of Winter Soldier. I am Iron Man was the joke at the end of Iron Man. All these things, all the plot points are all previously used as jokes.
Yeah.
The moment in Age of Ultron where that was a joke thrown in, and then they went, so it was that he was moral. So I wouldn't say he was morally worthy of using Mjolnir. I think it was just a. Yeah,
but I think Captain America is supposed to be this impeachable hero. That's why when Wanda messed with his mind, he was able to shake out of it, because she was trying to show him his fears and this horrible nightmare world, and he was able to shake it off because of his innate goodness, as opposed to, say, Clint or any of the other characters that have these dark paths.
Sure. Well, we don't know Clint's path because Hawkeye was just an empty character. Because he didn't get messed with. He didn't get messed with. He stabbed her with a stun arrow rather than being messed with, because he didn't want to have his mind messed with again. But I think Captain America falls more into the gray area because he is especially in the last few years of the comic runs, as in him being Rogue and Agent
of Hydra.
No, Agent of Hydra. No, but actually as a change, a different type of Captain America. That there was an attempt to deconstruct that character again.
Yeah.
So, depending on the story being told, depending on the story, each of the mainline guys, like Thor, could be mainline as well. If you ignore some of the later movies, which were fucking terrible.
So maybe if we go back to, say, Golden Age comics, it's like, so, and even in literature as well, you're talking about like characters are simply good in a lot, like someone like Frodo.
Yeah,
Frodo is, he's a good person.
And Sam as well.
And Sam, the impeachable moral is like this beacon of light in the darkness.
Yeah.
Golden Age comics as well were a lot like that, where the heroes, it was really Marvel that kind of started delving into personal lives of heroes.
With the X-Men, more like and with Spider-Man was the first one to have an inner monologue.
Yeah, and like you could see, hang on, this person's struggling. So characters were like the masked hero was evolving at that time into having flaws and having character traits that they had to personally overcome. Despite their powers, they still had to pay rent.
Sure.
In terms of Spider-Man, for example, they had things that they were struggling with, relationship issues. I think that was kind of the first iteration of that seems to come from Marvel. Yeah. Before that, like the likes of Superman is just cardboard cutout, strong man that saves everybody.
Yeah.
So these characters have gone through evolution because they've been around a long time.
Sure.
The likes of individual, like from literature, that are frozen in time as to when the books were printed.
Sure.
So that's why I mentioned Frodo as being like he's tempted by the ring. He's almost corrupted by the ring. It almost undoes everything. But that just, again, we're talking about our hero villain dynamic. The power of Frodo was that he was able to overcome this immense evil.
Sure.
And this immense temptation. And I guess that's the baseline simple conflict in Lord of the Rings there.
Sure. I guess you have then the Aragorn being a different type of hero, not being actually, you could almost say that his
reluctant hero, I guess, is that.
Yes, and that he was a villain of neglect, that he walked away from what he could have been, what he should have been, for the vast majority of his time. He's 80-something years old in
something like that.
Lord of the Rings or Two Towers.
87.
So,
I don't know why that.
So that means that his people were without a king for all that time. So so at that point you are a villain. Frodo becomes a villain just at the end, but it's Gollum that stops him.
Yeah.
That basically you have two acts.
So he fell to the temptation, didn't he? Yeah.
After Sam manfully carried him all the way up.
Lord of the Rings is a good example of a villain that wins and loses all at the same time.
Well, no, he ultimately wins. You can have a setback, of course, but it's a because the villain universally loses. Yes, he blows up. So I think anything when you have
gone from the world,
when you have blowing up, I don't think
existence erased, not erased, but removed from any future.
So from the hero's point of view, from the villain point of view, a lot of times they were heroes before they were villains.
Mm-hmm.
One of the touchstone I always look to is Hummel from The Rock.
Great example.
So, and he is the villain of that movie.
Yeah.
He through non-lethal means steals a bunch of rockets, aims them at a population and goes, we're going to kill a whole bunch of people if you don't do this. The people who he kills, the people who he, so he doesn't go through it, but the threat has to be real. And the people who he potentially would have killed wouldn't have known his reason.
Yeah.
And
he falls into perhaps the category of sympathetic villain.
Sure.
Is it a villain you can relate to in some degree?
But I think you should be able to relate to all villains. Or if the villain is well crafted, then you should be able to relate. So Hans Gruber, absolutely. Yeah. Can you relate to someone who is? So you want to relate to them. You feel. I don't know if empathy or sympathy would be applied, but definitely this is such a fucking cool character.
Yeah.
And you have this. You don't know if you want them to win because the coolness of the other character is more. If it's like, he threatened Holly, damn him. So even at his end, you're still cheering for him.
Yeah.
So there's
iconic villains that, even though like Darth Vader, for example, that everybody loves.
And another hero who fell to villainy.
Yeah.
And
the fallen. Yeah.
Yeah. So that you have these characters, these iconic characters who, before they were the villain, they were the hero. And it is as we're talking, I'm thinking about all these potential stories for, yes, have your square-jawed hero, or what your square-jawed hero who has his success and then goes off to live life at the fifth quarter or the third half, the story after the story.
Yeah,
they've done their story. They then go off to have their retirement. Live with the love interest, and they have the
happy ever after. Except,
but what happens after that point when another threat comes along, or do they become the threat themselves? It's the like the story of Conan the Barbarian. He becomes a king. He becomes a king over people. Is he a good ruler? Being a thief and a barbarian, does that make him a good leader of
does he have a grasp of socioeconomic requirements?
Exactly.
Taxes and
exactly.
Logistics.
Can he build consensus?
Yeah.
Or is he going to be another villain, or another tyrant of a different stripe? So so again, going back to my own stuff, whenever I'm building a character, I'm not building a square jaw.
Yeah,
I'm not building a purpose. I'm building, because we aren't as people, as characters. We aren't purely one thing or another.
Exactly.
So we will make those bad decisions. We will, whether from expediency or because of neglect or because we're having a fucking bad day. Like, how many times have you cut someone off in traffic, and then you're going to come along and complain about someone else cutting you off in traffic?
I don't cut people off in traffic.
Okay, I don't either. I
was like, as you were saying, I'm like, do I? No, I don't.
But as I can list off 4 different times people did in the last 2 days. But you make a mistake while driving, and you will give out you'll give out to a person who you see doing that same thing. There's a hypocrisy to it. So you can't say you are the absolute hero all the time, even in your own story.
Yeah.
So, but embracing the villainy, not in a kind of ha, but understanding that there is a sympathy to be had. We are not binary creatures. So having a pure protagonist versus pure antagonist.
Yeah.
Because again, we go back to the Star Wars story. The one that I might have mentioned this before, even on this podcast, the idea of the Dark Knight who gets burned by who is loyal to the king.
Yeah.
Loyal to the government. He gets betrayed by his master. His wife gets killed, and his children get stolen away. In order to survive, he has to be put in a magical block of armor that sustains him, because otherwise he'd die from massive burns. And
lives in constant pain.
And his former master then trains his son to kill him. That's a narrative right there. And it is basically Star Wars told from the other way around.
Yeah.
And I love doing that.
That poor knight.
That poor knight. Absolutely.
He's had a hard time.
Absolutely. And in the best of the telling it, that when he's hunting down the Jedi, that's one, it's legal. Like, okay, that's a question of legality, but it's also a case of they're manipulating other people.
Mhm.
You can frame them, and indeed this era of fake news, of ICE raids in the States, you can look at it as those people who are I might have to go down there. Sure, why not? People who are the ICE agents,
Mhm.
they are seen as villains.
They're doing their job.
But yeah, legally they're doing illegal. They're currently legal.
Yeah.
Maybe, but But when they go home at night, they're not. They don't see themselves as villains.
No.
They're often male, but so say they're their husbands, their brothers, their sons. They are getting they're earning their crust for their family. So are they purely? You can't say they're purely villains. You can't say that from any reasonable point of view that they're doing villainous things.
Sure.
And indeed, in this, if you took a story about this person in this time who is an ICE agent, they are absolutely the fucking villain of the story.
Yeah.
So, but that you then say, look at them 5 years ago before they were hired, maybe they're working a different job, maybe and indeed you could have it that person in that ICE role is day to day, he is going out and is doing all these horrible things.
Yeah.
But he is also the person who helps the person who's in work going through a bad breakup, or he is the moral center in every other facet of his life.
Takes the trash out for his elderly neighbor.
Yeah, exactly. That he walks the dog
on community groups.
Absolutely. That
soup kitchens.
Oh, absolutely. He could be, as long as they're not Mexican. Or
they mightn't have anything personal against.
Oh, absolutely.
Any of those people that they're doing something.
Oh, yeah, and he's just apparently they're paying about $50,000. They're being paid a lot, to to exercise what is technically currently illegal, or at least currently on the books. I'm quite sure someone will say that's illegal, and that there's lawsuits and there's different things happening. So I'm not a legal scholar. I do not.
But that's an excellent way to kind of grasp the construction of character, like
yes.
Either a hero or a villain. Like you are building different dimensions into them, and you always want in any when you're writing, you want every character to have some sort of impact in the story. That's why the character's there. If they're not there, edit them out, get rid of them, delete, or recycle into something later on down the line.
Yeah.
But that's if they've no impact, get rid of them. If you're building characters also that people want to relate to.
Yeah.
Now people can relate to villains, they can relate to heroes, but then deeper than that is instead of relating to, you can empathize with. I think so. A masterfully constructed character, be they a hero or a villain, should have these kind of levels of connection with the reader. Like I suppose we were discussing, you need to be able to kind of not only relate, not only understand. You can understand, but maybe not agree with. The villainous actions, like not all villains are just a pure evil
mustache twirling.
Yes,
yeah. Because the one thing that I think we still go back to taking in these real world examples. Because we may talk about fantastical things and fantastical stories and things, but it is our day to day which is going to feed the primary story.
Starts with the human experience.
Exactly. So. You can imagine a current ICE agent who got drafted in or got hired in the last six months, is part of this jackboot thuggery, who is doing this because of other issues in the States, medical costs. He could be paying, or he or she, but as most these jackboot thugs are white guys. But we'll just use the he pronoun for now. They could be paying their medical expenses, so they need a job. So there is a comment. So this is will be an anti-hero or a villain, or
talking about motivation now.
Yeah, but we're talking about because hero and villain is depicted the impact on the story. who is their ultimate actions are how they are expressed through that story. So you can have, as essentially, you could have two villains in a story. You could have two heroes in a story. Indeed, one of my favorite movies is Heat.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough.
So in that, you're talking about if you looked just at either side, whether it be the robber side or the cop side, you could have a standalone movie,
right,
where you strip out the other side. It'd be half as long, but you would have a tragic story of De Niro's character, who was trying to get out of the violence in his life.
Yeah.
That he wanted to get away with it with the new girlfriend, but he got shot down at the end. But he is still the hero. He is still the protagonist of that story. He is still doing good things. He is doing good things for everyone in his life. He is being as possible. He's lying to people. But even when violence erupts, it is you could see that he gets rid of one of his crew because he commits murder.
Yeah,
and then he tries to murder him.
Sounds like a necessary violence only.
There's a moral code. There's a moral code there of some sort, and indeed, he is denying the moral code that he is stated that he has. If you see someone see the heat around the corner, you leave. So and that's what he's not doing. And from the
he goes against what he was taught.
Exactly. And from the cop side of things, it's a bit clearer, but he's still willing to berate and abuse and threaten otherwise slightly innocent people, or slightly because in order to get what he wants.
Yeah.
So the Pacino's cop does a lot of pseudo villainous things in order to get the job done.
Means to an end.
Yeah. So that is a wonderful touchdown of which is the hero there.
Yeah.
Well, they're both protagonists in the story. They serve as the other antagonist.
Yeah, the foil villain is, or the reflection villain is an archetype as well, isn't it? It's like He-Man and Skeletor. It's supposed to be mirror images of each other, And in Heat, like that example you were saying, that's I guess what they're going for is like they're mirrors of each other, even the way Pacino is willing to do whatever it takes to do the good job.
Yeah.
De Niro isn't willing to do whatever it takes to be a crook.
Yeah.
In the end. So they're both kind of leaning over the lines that have been put in front of them for where their characters' boundaries are supposed to start and end.
Yeah.
They both do things that you wouldn't expect a cop to do, and you wouldn't expect like a master thief to do. And I guess that's generating the interesting conflict, and it makes it exciting that you're looking at Pacino's cop going, he's stepping over lines here, but he's effective. And then with De Niro, he's like, oh well, he's not just some ruthless, bloodthirsty killer that's willing to sweep everyone out of his way in order to get away.
Yeah.
And you go, well, that's, he does have his own moral code. And that's, I think that's what makes that compelling.
Oh, yes. And indeed that you could almost say that Macaulay is a far more, De Niro's character is a more moral person than Hannah, Gina's character. Yeah. Because when he walks out with someone, it's cut off and done. When Pacino just doesn't show up for his many wives, he's on third marriage. So he is less. So his dogged, even though you could say that again, inside just the story of Pacino and his wives, he is the villain. He is the one who never showed up. He's the one who was the cause of the divorces.
Is he a villain in a hero's suit?
Well, that's why I said that there is you are depending on the story, as you said, you have these some clear cut and dry. This person is clearly the villain. Yes. The person is clearly the hero. And perhaps from a not a modern storytelling point of view, but the way I would look at it is from my own writing is the person is going to do villainous acts. The person is going to do heroic acts, or will take actions which can be seen as heroic, because they all have friends, they all have family, they all have associates, and they will take actions that will, like going back to Die Hard, and when first person to kill was Carl's brother. So, and even Hans Gruber's reference, we had to Carl, his brother is dead, and there is that could have been played so many different ways. But while there is a very much case of I have to deal with this almost HR issue, there is a case that there is a personal, because those two are the closest to in on the villain side of things. In or the tech guy whose name currently evades. Those three guys are the closest in the crew. Everyone else could die. They don't care because they've got an ambulance to get them out of there. Not all of them are going to fit in the ambulance.
Yeah.
So
it's almost like he expected someone to start taking
or at least he expected them to be left behind.
Yeah.
So there was every villain is going to have some sort of heroic affect to them, and indeed, in my mind, the one way you could assess better the story, as in there's very, very, very many ways. Again, this is not a absolute dictation of what should happen.
Yeah.
But from my own writing, the barometer by which someone is, how many good things make a good person, how many bad things make a bad person.
Yeah. Where does the seesaw flip?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And indeed,
what would it take?
Yeah. And you could think the Batman example of he's beaten up a lot of people. He's broken the law far, far more than any individual that he may have put away.
Breaches Gotham's aerospace laws as well.
Oh, don't forget that.
Flying in that unregistered.
The bat, yes.
The unregistered plane that,
So it's so I would, it is perhaps you can use it again when you're building the story, and you can use it at the end of the process. But I would say, again, from my point of view, one shouldn't cleave too closely to it as one is writing, because if you go this person, because then you end up with a square jaw.
Yeah.
On one side, you end up, the white hat, black hat, everyone's grey.
Yeah.
And maybe, and ultimately in this telling of that story, you'll end up with one with a dark grey and a light grey. That's grand.
Yeah. And that would be kind of, strangely enough, my main character from Night of Galgara, Rosalind, I actually designed her as a little bit of the square jaw hero, like a little bit of the impeachable, morally good. Unimpeachable.
The impeachable.
The unimpeachable, excuse me. And I realized on a previous episode I was saying epilogue when I meant prologue a few times as I was listening to it.
Oh my God.
I know, I'm sorry. So just stating that correction.
How dare you accidentally misspeak?
Yes. But when I was creating the story and when I was crafting it, I had the idea of having this central, I suppose, gravitational point in the story, which would be the goodness of this character and how I wanted her to interact with the world was being a positive effect on lesser or morally more grey characters. As time was progressing. That her example or her just her steadfastness and her commitment to her duty and to her family and all these kind of things you would associate as being good, with this inverted commas there.
Sure.
She was trying to live up to an almost impossible ideal.
I guess the square jaw example.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
But in doing so, maybe not always successful. But as I was crafting the story, that's kind of the slot I wanted to put her into, was that she's like a beacon.
Sure.
And, to continue that, the beacon is shining its light on these other characters that kind of almost make them look at themselves and go, I could be better.
And that's actually a great strategy, that the not just the interaction with the characters, but every character is experiencing the story. Yeah. And this is something that again, in bad writing, you have just people waiting for their turn to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have a line that I have to deliver here. Here's a plot point I have to express here. Here's the development. Now I do it. But if you have characters who are not just, action reaction, sure. But if it's action and then implication, or action and then just someone taking a different action because of what they've seen or what they've experienced, or the shining of the good light and going and almost shaming someone into being better, then I guess perhaps that is an expression of heroism.
Yeah,
almost like a cast of a magic spell.
and it's kind of I suppose that she's like a focal point for the things that are happening. The individuals, we'll say, in her camp or on her side, to lead by example. But that was what I wanted for that character. But there are many side characters that have questionable paths and questionable history.
Because I don't want to go into mass amount of details of your novel, and kind of spoilers and whatnot. But when I was thinking about this on the drive over, I couldn't think of a character that didn't fall into both camps.
Yeah,
and Rosalind, perhaps I was forcing it a bit, but as in her family, because especially her the actress, takes them by certain members of her family, you could say that the act of being a royal, at the very minimum, can be said to be villains, kind of, or being a supporter of a dictatorial religion can also be a villain. That you're using someone else's moral code, and that code is abhorrent. That even the people who are down, that would be more traditionally sort of seen as villainous, they are still taking actions that one could frame. That you could still you could rewrite Knights of Belgar from the point of view of the admiral, and and that would be still a heroic story of a hero, perhaps an anti-hero, but a protagonist who manipulates others to get what they see is a positive end. And I would challenge anyone who read it, who's read the book, on all good bookstore, or in many good bookstores, at least HMV, that to see to look at the primary characters in that book and in the next one, and see how they are shown to be good, and then spend time going, why are these, and spend time thinking about how people who are primarily good are taking horrible actions. They are murdering. They are lies, murders, and thievery, I guess, are the common.
Oh, it's delicious.
But look at all the characters and see what they're doing for their own good, or what they think is the general good. We're fighting for a household. We're fighting for a religion. We're fighting for a land. We're fighting for a kingdom.
10 lines.
They are incredible, because a country is just a political construct.
It's just a story we all agree is true.
Exactly. Like, the idea of having America broken up into, say, three or four different parts, a collapse of that country into different parts. Sure, that happened. Okay, then you just okay. This is the Texarkana part, and then you have California part, and then you have it's just a line drawn on the map. This is how you gather taxes. You have your own trade posts. These are political constructs. So having someone say, I want to defend this barony or this kingdom or this dukedom, well, and indeed has been shown in story. 100 years ago, they didn't have, those lines weren't the same lines.
Not the same lines. No.
Yeah. So saying
in fact, that's a point I make very early on, is that the land recently was populated by a completely different group of people.
Absolutely.
To a couple of 100 years.
Yes, which admittedly in a personal time, and indeed that is used, and again, very, very well, in a in an establishment of because so I'll babble for a second before I get to
Dynamics.
that the current heroes, say that the current protagonists, or say the Baron, they weren't there when their forefathers took that land.
No, stole maybe at the end of a sword.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So
Conquered.
They have been their father has been a good steward of the land, and so their entire lives they are defending a certain status quo. And I'm quite sure that any of our two listeners will think of
Column is okay.
At least one other that we have that they can look at their own stories or look at their own work and see defending of the status quo is a bad thing. Because you can look at, say, Star Wars. Again, Darth Vader is defending the status quo, while there's rebels mean change. So you that is a wonderful kind of depiction in your narrative you can see the strains of villainy or strains of villainous actions inside the hero characters and vice versa. And indeed, I think it's easier to see because we tend to push away the villainous aspect of a murder. I say, if a hero commits murder or a hero breaks someone's kneecaps, it's like, that they deserve. But when a villain commits murder, it's like, horrible.
Yeah. You're very, very quick to jump down the throat of someone you don't like.
Yes.
And you're very quick to defend someone you do like.
Exactly. So there is so in that I guess the strains of villainy and heroism run, the thick veins can be seen in these characters.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't know if, I think it's in its second season. They're based off of the books. Silo is the name of the science fiction show.
Well, is the original, yeah.
Yeah, Hugh Howey, I think is the...
I think so, yeah.
Something like that. So, you reminded me when you were talking about the defending, like the Bernard in the TV show is the head of IT. And the head of IT has all the secrets. And he's...
Played by...
Tim Robbins,
yeah.
And... I enjoyed the show. I don't know if you've seen it. I enjoyed it. I mean,
it was predictable and terrible.
there's a bit of overacting at times, and
it's not the overacting I have problem with. So we'll push it for another time because I'm not going to go into Israel. But I thoroughly hated it.
But you just remind me of the character of Bernard, who is the head of IT. He's maintaining control in the silo. He's maintaining the status quo.
Yeah,
he's willing to go to any lengths to kill anyone, even people that he's very affectionate about, in order to keep secrets and keep the silo just on level playing.
Which, if
in his favor,
yes. But as we talked about, there's a square-jawed hero.
Mm-hmm.
His depiction, at least in the TV show, is a square-jawed villain.
Yeah,
I don't see any elements of heroism in him at all.
But he, of course, as the character would see himself as the hero of the silo, that's what I'm saying.
But because I would we used your novel as the archetype, I guess, in that you have all your characters have these feeling of whether it be a sea captain or whether it be a potential pirate or an admiral or a knight or what's Torrance character is,
he's a Kunkaru.
Yes, but that's his race. But
he's an assassin.
I guess, actually, yeah. So he's a killer of men. Yeah. But these are no matter who they are, you can see their positive and negative, not just their own view of themselves. All these characters will view themselves as heroic. Like there's the line that I like from Willem Dafoe when he's asked, would you like to play heroes or villains? As he answer was, it doesn't matter. They always think they're righteous.
Yeah.
That the guy from
it's a good understanding.
Absolutely, yeah. Because you're playing the character, you're not playing the hero or villain. This is why I said that. You can use it as a starting point of here's what they're ultimately, as broad strokes. Here's where the hero is. Here's where the villain is. At the end, that's pretty much where I want to be. But the writing of it should allow for those things. Robin's character in this is just a villain. There's no ambiguity to it. He is a villain taking villainous actions, and he would do anything to get that done. And so anything that he may be seen as a moral good, as in a love he has for something, as he'll walk away, he'll
kill them.
Yeah, forever.
Spoilers.
If you compare that to, say, Macaulay, in Heat, there is I guess, distinct difference in someone who is being challenged, that his morals are being challenged. He is stated where he is.
Mm.
And then this is I think that in, again, my own writing, it's a challenge that I find, that stating of a code and then hoping that the reader understands when you're challenging, when the character is challenging that code and not the reader doesn't understand the code.
Yeah.
That you hope that when you're actually writing, when you say, walk away as your moral statement, and then they're not walking away, it's like, this writer's terrible. No, the character is trying to change, or the character is experiencing this change. So it is so that's, I would make the distinction there between those two characters.
Yeah, there was I mean, we've again only scratched the surface, and we're unless we do a special edition extended version Schneider cut of this podcast episode that is like 4 hours longer than usual. We're going to wrap it up very shortly. We're just kind of, any final thoughts on heroes to villains, villains to heroes? We discussed the different types of heroes, kind of fallen heroes being the preference, or
no?
Is there any particular hero type you prefer to read?
Complex. No, that's right. That they have awareness.
Yeah.
Either the writer has awareness, or the characters themselves have awareness of what they're doing. That it is a moral or ethical challenge to themselves of completing their goals. I think I can't remember if I mentioned it. The one of the characters in Final Crow, they commit mass murder.
Yeah.
Spoilers
for a good reason.
To save the world, to commit mass murder. And
just like the rebels in Star Wars blew up the Death Star with all the workers on it.
Exactly, but
just tradesmen.
But there's a difference in that. In that there is, I guess there's similarities between of the rationalization that was made.
Yeah,
this character doesn't make a rationalization, and indeed that every action she takes along the way, first book through her appearances in the second book, you can see her as the villain.
She feels justified. She does.
There is. She is monomaniacal. She is no one will get in your way. And while you can apply that, and think you can apply that you can call it righteousness.
Yeah.
The phone line, you call it righteousness. They are right in their focus, in their delivery. It doesn't matter who's getting in their way.
Yeah.
And this is one for my protagonists.
Yes, so, I was going to say that again, in a hero you call it stalwart, in a villain you call it
ruthless.
Just ruthless. Yeah.
Yes.
So it all depends on your point of view.
Exactly.
All the truths we hold to.
I was hoping you weren't going to go there. I really hope you would.
That's like, what? You just you just lied to me, Ben. What are you talking
about? Exactly. I guess you could do that, but
although, how about the Obi-Wan impression? 3 at best.
It needs work
out of 100.
Yeah. Out of 300. So yeah, it depends on the story and what story is being told, because I have no problem with the square jaw, if that's the story that's being told. But in that situation, then you have the secondary characters providing, I guess, the moral ambiguity.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
For me, well, the ones I like reading is kind of a bit of a basic bitch at times. So I like simple, straightforward, like unimpeachable. Like I was talking about, even the reluctant hero is kind of something that's like
that's in there. That's
like Bilbo. He's like, oh, I'll do it because I like that whole kind of accepting greatness when it was nothing that you had ever written into any part of your life. You had no expectation of like either going on an adventure or having to face terrible danger, or it's just, and I like that dynamic of something that is so far removed from their normal life is something that they're able to grasp or able to defeat ultimately.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people like those kind of stories, perhaps, or why I like those stories, is because it, for me, reflects a certain aspect of life where you never know what's coming down the line.
Sure.
You never, things that you never worried about all of a sudden are right in front of you, and the reluctant hero kind of reflects that, I think.
Okay.
And so for me personally, yeah, that aspect of things is just something I really like in books. For going back to David Gemmell, the idea of Druss. Like, Druss is an old axe battler. He's survived so many battles and campaigns and wars and things, and he's become so famous that people challenge him all the time. And he's just like, not again. And it's like he's reached such a level of significance in this world as a swear-jawed hero that all these people want to be the one that take him out. And it's just this kind of the heaviness that he feels when some young punk steps up to challenge, and he's just like, he knows he's gonna win. But I like that whole, there's no bravado in him. He's just a simple man that knows how to swing an axe and survive fights, and I kind of like.
There's a line from one of my favorite movies, Way to Gone, where an old bagman essentially says, and when a guy challenges him, is that the only thing you know about an old man is that they're a survivor.
Yeah, I've lived this long. Yeah. And we have lived long enough to come to the end of this particular episode. Again, it's just, scratching the surface.
Absolutely.
On the hero, the villain, there's plenty more material there that we will get into at some later stage. But for now, thanks for listening, everybody. This is your hero, Gary J. Martin, and your villain,
the skies,
Alan McNevin, signing off for today. All the best.
Bye.